Hello everyone and welcome back to another Teamfight Tactics Guide. Today we review the 9.18 meta since the patch has been released and go over the top builds that are dominating the ranked charts. The biggest change in 9.18 was around the drop system with new mystery boxes, but we did see a nerf to Evelynn and Pantheon which had some effect but didn't shake things up as much as previous patches. We'll begin by talking about the three variants to a Shapeshifter build, as Shapeshifters are hot right now. The first of which is, for the purists out there, 6 Shapeshifters. Your damage dealers here will primarily be Shyvana and Swain, with some bonus destruction coming from Mr. Tiny, Gnar. You'll still be using the Guardian twins, Leona and Pantheon, and it's important to try and get a double Guardian buff on either Shyvana or Swain, with Shyvana being the better choice of the two if you have to choose. When you plan on going 6 Shapeshifters, remember that you will rely on Elise and Nidalee and Jace to finish the build. Since they are early game champions, try to hold on to them if you can, as they will be harder to find later on. A 3-star Nidalee, by the way, at early or mid game can be an absolute monster. Just be careful about putting too many items on her that you might want to shift to Swain or Shyvana. Placement here is rather standard, with a leftmost box to keep the right units getting aggro first. You can optionally place units across the board if you run into Void Assassins or scary Evelynns in your match. For items, give Shyvana at least Gunblade and Rageblade, with a defensive flex item like Warmogs or Thornmail. Swain, you want to have Morellos and a GA, with a flex defensive item as well, like Warmogs or Dragon's Tooth. And a special mention to giving Dragon's Tooth to Gnar, which makes him an absolute unit, and that extra magic resistance makes him very difficult to deal with. The number 2 build is the Demon variant of Shapeshifters and does away with Elise, Nidalee, and Jace in favor of using the 4 Demon bonus off the Swain, with Evelynn, Morgana, and Brand. Brand right now is incredibly powerful, and with the right items can absolutely destroy an enemy team. I've given Brand in 9.18 a death cap and watched each bounce one-shot the enemy it hits. It's pretty spooky. There are too many units to protect here, so the name of the game for positioning is to optimize your damage output. In this case, you want Swain and Brand in the back line, Morgana, Shyvana, and Gnar in the front line, and you place the 2 Guardians to best apply their buff to everyone. Morgana, even though she's a sorcerer, is very optimally placed towards the front so that she hits as many targets as possible when her ultimate goes off. Evelynn is a flex spot here, as she will jump at the start anyway, but you still want her to get at least 1 stack of the Guardian buff from either Leona or Pantheon. And again, giving Shyvana the double Guardian stack is optimal. Now, items for Swain and Shyvana are the same, but I recommend trying to get a death cap on Brand, as he does scale really well with AP. The final variant of the Shapeshifter build is Yordle Shapeshift. And the whole idea with all these Shapeshifter builds is really to capitalize on the core synergies that you already have with the top 3 Shapeshifters of Shyvana, Gnar, and Swain. And in this case, we use the Yordle bonus we get from Gnar by adding in Lulu and Poppy. Lulu adds a % max HP with her ability, which works great with Shapeshifter bonus, and Poppy is an excellent unit all around. To trigger the 2-night bonus, we add in Sejuani, who also gives us a timeless teamfight ultimate, and since we have defensive power with Poppy, Lulu, and Sejuani now in the build, we can replace the Guardians with 2 more sorcerers. The sorcerers of your pick are a little bit flexible, but Aurelion Soul is necessary to give the dragon bonus to Shyvana, which is still going to be doing a lot of your damage, and you can flex to a 3rd sorcerer to whatever you want. The most optimal being Ahri, as this will give the wild buff to Gnar, who still does a ton of damage, as well as Ahri's ability does true damage on the return, which is useful at late game so it ignores defenses. Positioning in this case when you have more melee units is pretty easy, as you can do a leftmost box and place your beefy boys and girls up front. For items, Swain and Shyvana stay the same, and if you opt for Ahri as your 3rd sorcerer, you can beef up Gnar with Dragon's Tooth, Warmogs, Bloodthirster, or an Infinity Edge, and all of these work wonders. In fact, getting a Dragon's Tooth, Warmogs, and Bloodthirster on Gnar makes it really difficult to kill him. Additionally, if you can get a Darken on Aurelion Soul, this will give you the the 2 demon bonus with Swain, which helps Swain transform faster and gives Asol more ultimates. And that covers all 3 shapeshifter variants that we're seeing right now. Now, build number 4 showed up at the very end of 9.17 and is still very strong in 9.18 despite a small nerf to Kassadin. And this is the Void Assassin build. The idea with this build is to get 3 Void with Kha'Zix, Kassadin, and Cho'Gath, then give a Ghost Blade to Kassadin and go straight for 6 assassins. Evelyn and Akali give you excellent damage, Pyke gives you a teamfight ultimate, and someone like Rengar will be a decent DPS add. Early game, you can rely on the starter powerhouse Zed until Akali becomes available, because realistically, for stage 2 and 3, Zed is going to be a very efficient single unit. Placement-wise, I like putting my non-assassins in the back center of the field to trigger aggro from the enemy team. This is units like Cho'Gath or Rek'Sai, and then you can place all the other assassins around them on the backline. Your primary damage dealers will be Kassadin and Akali, so giving Kassadin Ghost Blade plus 2 other DPS items like Infinity Edge, Sword of the Divine, Rapid Fire Cannon, or Rage Blade all work really well. Rage Blade is excellent because it makes him shield himself more often on top of that. And Akali really only needs a Seraph's Embrace, but I also recommend giving her a Darken to not only gain the demon bonus with Evelyn, but also gives more mana to Akali to make her ult more often. Morello's is a good pickup for either Cho'Gath or Pyke, as they do have large AoE ultimates that'll apply it to as many people as possible. And you can give old Cho a Guardian Angel and Death Cap for extra ownage. Lastly, Ranger Knights has to be mentioned in this video as it remains just as powerful as it was before. I covered it in the last video, but here's a quick recap. The Guardian Twins, all 4 Rangers, and a Sejuani and Mordekaiser for the 2 Knight bonus, along with the 2 Phantom bonus with Kindred. You're going to want to beef out the Ashe with Rage Blade, Hush, RFC, Hurricane, and you can flex items to either Sejuani or Varus for extra damage. Getting a Darken on Sejuani works with the Varus to give extra mana and drain mana from the enemies, and getting extra Death Cap, Shojins, or anything you can make for Sejuani and Varus to give them more ultimates. Positioning is still the same with a leftmost box strategy to protect your shooty gals and boy. I also want to give a special mention to the rise of Imperial Blade Masters. A buff to Katarina makes her a powerhouse in the right situation, as now she can ult a little bit more consistently. And if you get the 4 Imperial bonus and Katarina is at least 2-star with a Seraphs or a Darken, she's going to deal a large amount of damage. Smaller bonuses like the 4 Imperials are now easier to get with the wild variants and units dropping from mystery boxes and the addition of Nico's Help, which allows you to get a free unit of your choice. In this build, we use Draven, Yasuo, and Aatrox as our chosen 3 Blade Masters, as of course they deal the most damage in the game. Aatrox gives us the demon bonus for Swain, which allows him to transform faster, which is really important. And with any hyper carry or single target DPS build, we need some teamfight prowess to keep us alive. Adding in a Sejuani is a perfect choice, as it gives us a teamfight ultimate, as well as the 2 Knight bonus with Darius. Possessioning here is heavily dependent on what you are facing, so you have to be kind of flexible based on what opponents you have in the game, but the most broadly effective placement is going to be a spread formation that prevents you from taking too much damage from AoE. Your damage output primarily comes from Draven and Swain, but you will get decent DPS output from Aatrox, Katarina, Yasuo, and actually Sejuani, so it's okay to stay spread and let everyone do their thing. The key components here are to give Yasuo his Exile bonus, making sure no units are around him, and to make sure he's on the front line so that he can attack the enemy team and disrupt them with his tornado. Also make sure Sejuani gets attacked early so that she can ult early, and you want to protect Swain and Draven from being murdered by assassins where you can. Items wise, focus on beefing up Draven and Swain. Draven, you'll want the usual items of RFC, Rage Blade, Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, or Hurricane. Personally, my optimal 3 items are Rapid Fire Cannon, Bloodthirster, and Infinity Edge, but Sword of the Divine can work too if you're strapped for the right items. For Swain, of course, we're looking for Guardian Angel, Morello's, and a defensive flex like Warmogs or Dragon's Tooth works great. And that's it for 9.18. With Kaisa on the horizon, along with a lot of new items coming in the next patch, the meta is set to change a lot, which should be a lot of fun. But for 9.18, we're using a lot of what has been nerfed and buffed from the most recent patch, as well as some basic changes to how the items and units are collected in the game. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.